we are all stuck in this quarantine together, and I think that with all the pain points we have, that is at least the solace, the thing that brings us together, is just knowing that we are all in it together. So I thought it would be fun to ask a few women, not just what you're doing, because we know women are learning to homeschool their kids, they're pivoting their business, they're doing just a myriad of things, and we are constantly balancing things that we hear on the news and trying to navigate through the negative and the fear and other emotions like that. There are also plenty of positive things that are coming out on social media, so we do have to sift through that and kind of balance out the negative and the positive. But here are a few positive things that I asked women. I wanted to know, what are you doing during this quarantine period because of the virus that you wouldn't have otherwise done? So we're just going to jump right in. You'll get to meet some of my dear friends and even a few family members and hear what they've been up to. So enjoy.
Hey, what's up? It's Kenyatta Marie, owner of Ambition Evolve Career Services, and I'm excited to share with you some of the things that I've been doing to remain creative and to help me to stay afloat in this season of social distancing and being at home and away from others with the coronavirus pandemic. So the very first thing that I decided to do was definitely make sure that I incorporated some type of hobby or activity to keep a healthy boundary between working from home all day and managing my small business and the clients and everything else I'm doing, the day-to-day, hustle and bustle. So a part of that is I've gotten into candle making. So it's something new and I'm exploring. I actually just got my supplies in today. So I'm doing a lot of research, watching YouTube videos, but I'm excited to try something different, to pique my interest and to take my mind off of this whole social distancing thing and stressing out about this virus. One other thing specifically that I've been doing to kind of pivot in my business is I've had this goal for the past 2 years or so to start a podcast. Specifically for students, college graduates, etc., millennials who are 20-somethings, 30-somethings, and how they are navigating life. And so I've kind of been sitting on the idea for quite a while, using the usual excuses. I'm busy with work, or, I don't have time. I'm in school full time. I'm in grad school full time, or whatever the case may be, as to why I couldn't just start it. And being much of a perfectionist, worrying about things being perfect. And so I've kind of been sitting on the idea of a podcast for the past 2 years or so. However, with this current season that we're in with social distancing and everybody trying to figure out their new norm right now with being in the house and not being able to go out, not contracting the virus, one of the things that I am doing is I'm going ahead with my podcast, and I am pushing start and I'm pushing go, and I am launching. And so I'm currently in the phase of researching potential guests, reaching out to them and recording episodes. And I got to thinking a couple of weeks ago, what better way to start this podcast for millennials with helping them to navigate life beyond the degree and different life lessons and things that are not learned in the classroom or are not learned in college, than by introducing or starting or catching the wave of this pandemic and how people are literally trying to figure out how to survive from day to day. And so I decided that my podcast is going to start with this particular segment, Coping in Crisis. So I'm excited to hear other people's stories, hear feedback on how people can stay afloat financially, how people can maintain or find a balance between anxiety and fear during this time, as well as other things, that deal with your career in case you were laid off or you're working from home or you're considered an essential employee and you're now having to be on the front lines in the face of this virus. So I figured that everything happens for a reason and that now would be an amazing time to do so. So that is one thing that I'm doing to pivot in my business. I'm actually getting my podcast off the ground. 2 years of waiting and sitting on it, and this whole social distancing season has just opened up an opportunity to start sharing about, moving through the school of life and gaining knowledge and passing life tests of life and life lessons that are not learned in the classroom. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. That's it. Bye.
Hey there, this is Christy Johnson, licensed esthetician and independent certified health coach, and I just wanted to share with you some things that I'm doing differently since being in quarantine. And, I think all of us are schooling or doing some sort of schooling with our kids. But one thing that I'm doing differently and spending a little more time doing is independent learning. And so my kids are finding something they want to learn about, and then we're learning together, and they get to share with me later in the day that topic about what they decided to study. And it's making learning in school more fun for them. And then personally, I have started working with a business coach to move my salon and appointments to a virtual atmosphere. This is not necessarily going away anytime soon, so we've just had to pivot the way in which we do business. And so I am pivoting and offering virtual consultations and doing product kits for clients and delivering them to their door or doing porch pickup. And that wasn't really something that I was able to offer or had been ready to offer when I was in the salon. So it's been really fun to see how I can be a part of their life without physically being there with them.
Hey, I'm Talaria. So a few things that I've done in the midst of the quarantine in order to stay productive and creative during this time is, one, I've made a list of a few things that I want to make sure that I do every day no matter what. One of those is to move. So I'm going to either do a physical, workout, either to a video, or if it's warm outside, I'll go out for a walk or take a run, something like that. I want to make sure that I'm reading something. For me, it's either the Bible or it's the book that I'm currently reading, whatever it may be. And then I also want to make sure I'm listening to something. So if it's a podcast or a message via a YouTube video, something like that, that's stimulating my mind in a different way. I'm also in the process actually of going through a list of people that I've lost contact with over the years. So I've taken this time to actually just reach out and catch up just to see how people are doing. So people that I probably wouldn't have, taken the time to reach out to otherwise, just because of my schedule and being so busy. But I was like, man, how can I be more relationally connected, and how can I, just maybe reignite some or spark some relationships that I maybe didn't necessarily keep through the year. So I've made a goal to reach out to a certain number of people each week and kind of to see how they're doing, what they're up to, exchange stories, and kind of see what we're all doing. I've also picked up puzzles again. I used to do puzzles a lot as a kid, so I've done a 1,000-piece puzzle, and I'm about to start another one. And then the last is that I've done silly things like word finds and Sudoku. So just in the way of not being bored, but also making sure that my mind is still sharp and being used when I'm oftentimes just sitting on calls, which can be mundane and stagnant.
Hey everyone, my name is Abigail Richardson, and I am a high school teacher in St. Louis, Missouri. And in the last 5 weeks, I have been teaching from home. And while that has been awesome, and I am thankful that I still feel very connected to my students, I also have more free time than I have ever had in my entire adult life. But I feel like the first week or two, it was easy for me to feel frustrated and easy for me to just think of all the things that I couldn't do. And then I realized that this was a good season for me to be creative. And ever since I was a little kid, I have absolutely loved painting or making things, being crafty, whatever it might be. Anything that was a creative outlet, I was immediately interested in. And I realized that this would be a perfect time to kind of dive right back into that. And so for the past few weeks, I have completely just set some time aside for me to just return to that thing that has always given me a creative outlet. It's been a good way to pass the time, and I really like holding this painting like this. But I just encourage you that while we do have a lot of other free time on our hands, this is a really good opportunity to do something that you love, or maybe find something that you've always wanted to try. I hope that you guys are healthy and just hanging in there, because it's not going to be like this forever. But the time that we have right now is valuable. And I hope you guys are finding fun and cool ways to spend it.
During this time of being at home, I've gotten the opportunity to just be creative again. I've been really enjoying making music just for fun, even if nobody else is going to hear it, but just for me, just because it's something that I love doing. And so I've been really enjoying that. Another fun little hobby that I've been doing is that I found the YouTube videos on how to draw a Disney princess in like 9 minutes. And I need you to hear that I am not an artist at all. However, it has been really relaxing and fun to pretend like I can draw and draw a Disney princess. Notice I'm not showing you because they're terrible, but it's been a fun activity that I've enjoyed. Another thing has been just getting to catch up with friends that I haven't talked to in a long time. You know, getting used to being digital and talking over different video platforms has just become so much more normalized that I'm talking to friends who don't live near me that I haven't caught up with in years, and that's been really fun to be intentional in that way. And then I have loved building into my daily rhythm, making sure I get outside at some point during the day and just go for a walk and throw on a podcast. And it's been such a refreshing rhythm to have. So I hope that you are making the most of this time that you have as well, whether that's being creative or moving your body or just catching up with people and being intentional. Hope you're enjoying this time that we have.
Well, there you have it. I hope that inspires you to just have a better day today. Maybe it will spark some creativity in you and you'll get out there and try something new while we are still stuck at home in all of this, and maybe even keep up with it throughout the rest of this year. And hopefully this season puts things in us that we carry on forever. Some of the good qualities, I think we've had time to evaluate what is important and what the priorities are in our lives. So I hope that those two have separated and that the priorities and the things that bring you joy have risen to the surface. I know for myself, it's been kind of odd. I did lose clients and lose a little bit of business, but it has been really good because Brooks and I have had time to plan out our future, work on some new business ventures. He's been an entrepreneur forever, and I'm kind of new into this whole thing, and I get really excited. He kind of tames me and pulls me back and puts reality into perspective, but it's been fun. And so that is kind of where my creativity has gone. Definitely, I always have a business bent to the creative things that I do, but I am always here cheering you on, rooting for you, especially for the women in my life and the women that I get to speak to through this medium and also on the podcast. I hope you just get out there and whatever you are doing, go amplify your life.